We have our first trio swaps in a minute. We have a snake eating going down on NA, and right now it already involves some of the biggest teams. We have Khanada and Bugha's teams both involved, and I guarantee this is going to have a lot of drama. I also want to talk about the update to the Peterbot versus Poyo of Sport, because Poyo is doing phenomenally well right now, and we have our first look at when the Superman update might be coming out. When are we getting the new POI and the new Mythic, and why do I think it might be during FNCS? There's a lot to talk about. Let's jump into it. All right, it's been a while since I've talked about this. We have a snake eating. We have some new trios forming on NA. Now, I'm not surprised because just how much is at stake this season. This is the last chance to make land for a lot of big teams. One of those big teams involving Khanada, who has never missed an FNCS Grand Finals or official LAN ever. In the history of Fortnite, since Chapter 1, Season 10, Khanada has not missed a Grands or an official LAN. He is not going to start now, and he wasn't confident in his trio. So Khanada has split with Bolts and Sphinx, and he is now playing with Bolts and Rapid. Now, if you know Fortnite, if you've been following it all, that's not the first time we've seen this trio. We've seen Bolts, Rapid, and Khanada play together before, and how did that end last time? Terribly. Absolutely terribly. Khanada, Bolts, and Rapid had an awful time. Khanada, I think, even said that Bolts and Rapid were two of the worst teammates he's ever played with. The vibes were terrible. They sold his Grands. They never locked in. There was just so much smack talk between this trio, but we're back together. Now, it is worth pointing out this was a different point in Bolts' career, especially this was meme coin Bolts. This is when Bolts retired from Fortnite to pursue meme coins. It was a weird time. I'm really happy that died off nice and quick. Bolts came back, and then since then, looked like things have been better. Now, Khanada's reasoning for splitting with Sphinx was because their vibes have been awful. He said their vibes have been bad, they just haven't been playing well. Honestly, just saying there was no redeeming qualities to this trio. And he said this on stream. I had no hope this trio was going to stick. Khanada and his streamers said they were going to play the second session off stream and see if they could fix the vibes, and obviously they couldn't. So if you want to know exactly why this trio split, I'll show this clip of Khanada explaining it in his own words.
It's because we're just doing shit. Like, we're just doing shit. Like, Bolts has good vibes if we're doing good, and then just has shit vibes when we're doing bad, which is like, I understand it. But with those vibes, like, think of it from, like, Sphinx's perspective as well. Like, he's like, if Bolts has bad vibes, like, and he sells, like, he's waiting for Bolts to just say something, you know? Like, say something to him, like, he's just waiting for that. I don't know, man. It's the same for all of you, LOL. I mean, it is, because that's just how it is. But, like, to be honest, like, we don't want to fucking also piss off Bolts, like, if you fucking tight or something, you know? Yeah, but it's also, like, bro, like, our vibes are just, like, it's been bad, like, before we're even, like, playing or anything. But vibes don't even matter. Vibes don't even matter. It's what the fuck we're doing. Like, we're just playing scrims. There's no getting better. We're all just, like, to be honest, we're just, like, tired of each other, bro. That's literally what it feels like, bro. Like, us three, like, we're just tired of each other. That's just literally what it feels like, bro. Like, deadass.
And honestly, if that's how he viewed his trio, I can't argue with that. There wasn't a single redeeming quality. They had no strategy. Their mid-game sucked. They only did well when they pulled zone. Their vibes were terrible. And it wasn't just their vibes that were bad in-game. Their vibes were bad out of the game as well. And you're probably thinking, like, what do you mean out of the game? This trio lived together. Now, I say lived together because I don't know if they're still living together now. Apparently, it looks like Sphinx has left the house only because, again, you don't want to stay in that situation. You've just been dropped by a trio. Both those players are still living together. You probably don't want to be involved now, which is totally fine. So we had Khanada, Bolts, and Sphinx who are living in the dig house. You've probably seen them in a bunch of the Dignitas content together, and apparently their vibes have just been awful even outside of the game as well. And that could actually have something to do with living together. I don't think Fortnite pros should live together, honestly. In esports, different esports, boot camping makes sense because usually you get the team together. It's a lot more of like a cohesive unit when it comes to other esports. There's usually a coach involved who lives with them. They usually have, like, you know, personal chefs, team psychologists. They scrim together all day. They don't stream. They don't do anything else. They just play together as a team, and they have a lot of other professionals and adults around them to maintain the vibes of that team and making sure that them being together is a good thing, not a bad thing. Because, you know, sometimes being with someone too often can cause issues. You probably experience this with your friends. Have you ever had a friend that you absolutely loved hanging around, but then you travel with them and you wanted to kill them by the end of it? it's pretty common. You don't know someone until you live with them. And I don't think pros living together is always the best idea. You're going to get on each other's nerves and it's going to make little problems become big problems very quickly. So I'm excited to see what this means for this trio. I mean, unfortunately for Sphinx, it also means not only has he lost his trio, he's lost his drop spot. This often happens when you have two players drop one in trios. Sphinx is now left without a trio, and that means Bolt, Rapid, and Khanada are going to be going Crime City, which is the current drop spot that Bolt, Nada, and Sphinx were going. So it looks like Sphinx is without a trio and without a drop spot, and things are looking pretty rough for him because there's not a lot of really good options out there for trios right now. Obviously, you know, you don't have to be a mathematician to figure this out. Aussie, you keep mentioning Rapid, but that means Bugha and Threats are looking for a third. Can't Sphinx just play with them now? No, our other new trio is Bugha, Threats, and Craze. Now, the reason why Bugha, Sphinx, and Threats just wouldn't work is because, again, it's just two main IGLs. I know this is weird because in these two trios, Rapid is IGL'd, Khanada's IGL'd, Bugha's IGL'd, and Sphinx is IGL'd. But for the most part, Bugha seems to only really wanted to have played with one of the IGLs if it was Rapid. That seemed to be the one player he was down to play with, but he's now replaced Rapid, who's now playing with Khanada, and he's got Craze. So Bugha, Threats, and Craze, and they're staying at Utopia City. They're looking pretty good. There is a lot of hype around Craze for good reason over the last few seasons. He obviously started popping off with Oliver OG, then made a name for himself playing with Bucky and Okus, and now he's found himself with Bugha and Threats. And Craze has been talking for a while now about wanting to play with Bugha. He had his chance, he got snaked, he's got a second chance now, and I think that trio is looking really solid because, again, most of these trios' issue is actually firepower. Again, when you've got this many people who IGL or can IGL, it kind of becomes too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too many people trying to make decisions. It causes issues, and you maybe just don't have enough firepower. With Craze, you definitely have enough firepower. Craze, Shadow, and Virgo, Craze's old trio, their issue is probably almost too much firepower. They absolutely pop off when they're playing, but there was concerns around how that would work in harder lobbies like grand finals and issues like that. So that's not going to happen when you have the experience of Bugha. I really like Bugha, Threats, and Craze as a trio. Honestly, I like Bolts, Rapid, and Nada as a trio as well if they can fix whatever vibes caused them issues last time. Because again, that trio's played once and it didn't end well. So this could be a disaster or it could be amazing. Both these trios obviously want to lock in their LAN ticket. Neither of them are qualified for LAN, so they're feeling the pressure. I can't blame them for looking for new trios, but it is worth pointing out we're about to finally start Div Cups. Tomorrow is the first official Div Cup. They're finally back. We've got 2 Div Cups, but we then have a 2-week summer break and then FNCS starts. So I expect to see a lot more snake hitting than this in the future. I think if teams don't perform in the Div Cups, they will 100% snake on each other to find new trios coming into FNCS. So far, it looks like Muzz, Rise, and G-Money, one of the main other teams that had eyes on them to get involved in this snake hitting, have stayed out of it. So right now, the 3 main players who are looking for teammates is Sphinx, Shadow, and Virgo. There is another team I want to talk about that is looking really, really good right now. We have Bryce, Skittles, and Aviv, and this is actually a crazy trio that no one's really talked about, myself included. I think that is a super sleeper pick to qualify for LAN, and they've tried to go under the radar. So much so that I heard it from Rise that Skittles actually chose to deliberately not play scrims because Skittles wanted to contest Khanada, Bolts, and Sphinx, but didn't want to play scrims because then that would give them a reason to blame for why they're doing so poorly. Skittles deliberately didn't play scrims, knowing that both Khanada and Sphinx's vibes were so bad that if they played together, they would probably split, and he didn't want to give them an excuse to save their vibes. That is some absolute 5,000 IQ mental mind games there from Skittles, and I'm really excited to see how Skittles, Aviv, and Bryce X do. That is a really solid trio who I think could take a LAN spot. So as much as we now have 2 official new trios, that is what I'm counting as almost a new trio on the block because they haven't really talked about anything. They haven't really made a lot of posts on social media, haven't been playing a lot of scrims, but I would keep an eye out for them. So I don't know if we're going to get Sphinx, Shadow, and Virgo making out that final trio, basically because obviously Craze now left them. I can't imagine, but maybe. I think there will be another kind of trickle on with this snake hitting before we get another big one, but we'll have to wait and see. Now, we have a big topic to talk about, one I have hardly talked about. Peanut versus Pollo off spawn. It wouldn't be an Aussie Antics video right now without me talking about this, but we had a change in dominance. we had Poyo's team winning 3 of the 4 games in scrims today. There was only 4 games because there was some issues with Unite, the client that we used to run pro scrims, that it had an issue. Basically, pro scrims couldn't run anymore. But we had 4 games, Poyo's team winning 3 of them, and that was without Acorn. That was with Yumi filling in. So again, for a lot of the Poyo fans who are mad that we're counting the score from a lot of these fill games, now it's going back in your favor. We're counting the 3 out of 4 games that Poyo won today off spawn with Yumi. And of course, I need to mention they went on to get 2 wins and a 2nd place in those games. So a lot of the people who are saying, yo, you know, the spawn fight's pretty even right now, but Poyo's team sucks when they make it off and Poyo goes on to win. Well, Poyo's backing that up now, playing with Yumi, not even their multi-FNCS champion IGL Acorn. They still managed to pick up a first, and a 2nd, all of them with double-digit elimination. So Poyo, Ages, and Yumi, I'm hoping Acorn will be the same, are absolutely popping off right now. So I know I started to talk about how Pete looks like he was getting a better drop map. He's starting to drop a little bit better, starting to put the pressure on Poyo. He's starting to equal out the off spawn score. It's starting to go back towards the way of Poyo. It is now 14-12 to Poyo, and it is 3-1 to Poyo in official tournaments. So with the Div Cups this week, with the Eval Cups this week, I'm very excited to see with both teams playing as their full trios of spawn in proper tournaments who comes out on top, because it's really heating up. We have a development in what is going on with the Superman update, which is when we're going to get the new mythic POI that a lot of people are thinking might resolve this Pete vs Poyo off spawn, as one of them will want to go that POI. And it looks like the Superman update could be dropping on July 11th, because that's when the Superman skin is set to release. And Superman is set to come out with not only his own mythic in the game with his own POI, he's going to have his own game mode, or at least is going to shift the way the regular game mode works, kind of like Godzilla. You're going to be able to become Superman, fly around, shoot lasers out of your eyes with super strength. He also looks like he has a mythic in the game that's going to be like a Deku Smash as well, which might even be in competitive, which if that goes in competitive, there's a good chance Pete or Poyo's team's going to want that. But this update might be on July 11th. The reason why I say it might be is that's still during Epic's summer break. They take a 2-week break over summer where they pretty much have none of their staff on hand. That's why they run no tournaments and don't usually have any major content updates, because, you know, adding a new POI, mythic, and game mode can obviously lead to a lot of bugs, and you want people ready to be able to fix that. So I don't know if that's when we're going to get the content, but it's worth pointing out that FNCS starts 5 days after that. So FNCS starts 5 days after that on July 16th and lasts for roughly 2 to 3 weeks. Now, the new season ends like 1 or 2 weeks after that. So when is the Superman update? It's either going to be in the summer break right before FNCS, or it's dropping literally in the middle of FNCS. There's no other time for this update to come out except for the next 2 weeks. But if the Superman skin isn't in the game until July 11th, means this update can't be in the next 2 weeks. It's going to have to be either right before FNCS or during it. So that's going to be spicy. That's going to be absolute cinema. Probably also a bit ridiculous, but if you've got Eisman's Pete Poyo spawn fight, this might finally end it. And for the other regions, if there's good teams out there who don't have an uncontested POI, this might be their golden ticket to land. We'll have to wait and see. I have no idea what Epic is cooking up with this. I've been talking a lot about Pete versus Poyo in these scrims, but I haven't been talking about other big teams like Clix. And I want to show some love to Clix Higgs and Yomzo, who absolutely dominated in scrims today. In the first session, they got a 12 kill win, 14 kill win, and a 9 kill second. There's a lot of pressure on Clix's team right now saying that, you know, while Pete and Poyo are going at it on spawn and you having an S tier job spot, this is your best chance to win FNCS. And I have to agree, but right now it looks like they're handling the pressure, playing phenomenally well in session 1. Session 2, we only got the 1 game, so we didn't get to see them kind of run away with that momentum. It is worth pointing out the only game that Clix lost was when we had Poyo on high ground as a full trio. So they are playing absolutely phenomenally right now, and they're taking it super seriously. Clix is actually taking today off scrims streaming, so he's going to play all the sessions off stream with his team to really lock in and practice as much as possible. Even after getting a first, and a second. Apparently, we want to lock in even more than that and practice as a team. So Clix's team is completely realizing the opportunity they have right now to win this FNCS and then taking it very seriously. So I want to give a huge shout out to them. They are playing low ground right now very heavily. So I'm interested to see what that means if we see Pete getting uncontested, or if Pete does make it off spawn. It seems like Poyo's team, more than anything, is playing high ground quite predominantly, which makes sense, especially because they don't have their IGL at the moment with Acorn. They're playing with with Yumi. Taking height in the current meta with the base boost is a lot simpler. It's risky, but there's a lot less to it. You just go up, blast them, try to win the fight, and hold high ground. It doesn't take, honestly, as much skill as what low and mid ground does currently, and I feel like most pros would agree on that one. So Clix, Higgs, and Yomzo play the low ground. They're doing it phenomenally, but that's what Peterbot does. When Pete, Cold, and Ritual make the end game, that is where I feel like Clix's team runs into a bit more issues because they have another big hitting team on low ground with them trying to control that area. So I'm super excited to see Clix and Peterbot go at it for the low ground. It is going to be very, very fun to watch because Fortnite nerfed the base boost gloves and then haven't really done anything else about it. It feels like Fortnite competitive right now isn't getting a lot of attention from Epic when it comes to balancing. There's still a lot of people saying that the skin needs to be nerfed, the base boost needs to be nerfed even more. There's a few changes that need to be made, and Fortnite's kind of left it as is. If the meta stays like this, it is going to be absolutely chaos on the height, and I really do think the win for FNCS, at least on NA, is probably going to be decided actually on the low ground.